Today's webinar is the second in a series of training webinars that I'll be doing for Ultra Boomerang. Those of you who have purchased Ultra Boomerang will benefit greatly from these webinars. And those of you who are interested, we've invited all of those who have been in contact with me to join in and watch. If you're just merely curious about Ultra Boomerang and you'd like to take advantage of starting a career in trading using what I recommend for stock index futures is the NASDAQ. The mini NASDAQ has a lot of activity every day. You can see it up here on this particular Boomerang chart up here in this, which is on NinjaTrader, as the NASDAQ chart here. So it's really good. Boomerang works on all active futures contracts, including the ES and the YM, the mini Dow, all of these, but the most tested and used one for myself is the mini NASDAQ. We use it every day in our trading room, and it's quite effective. So what I'd like you to do is pay careful attention today and hold your questions. At the end of the session, we will have a question-answer period. I don't want to stall my presentation to answer the questions right away, but just write them down in front of you there, and we'll get back to you towards the close. We'll have a period of question answers, and I'm always available by email also at mohan@daytradersaction.com. Now, you can always email me there, and the invite you received today for the webinar has my email on it as well. So, first of all, thank you again for joining with us today. I'm going to start out by showing you how to start your trading day. And then we'll get into details of how to work with Ultra Boomerang to achieve a very, very high percentage of winning trades. So here we go. By the way, just so you know, our guarantee for 90% winning trades, that's based on a 30-day average. And the last 30-day average, 30-session average that I did, the actual winning rate was about 95%. So I was being a little conservative when I made that offer, although it's never been done in the history of the stock market, offering a guaranteed 90% winning trade signals from the software. Never been done, and I've raised the bar so high it's unlikely that anybody will try to copy me for quite some time. So with that in mind, let me show you how that's accomplished with Boomerang Day Trader. First of all, I want to show you how to start your trading day, because that is so important. You don't want to just wake up and jump into the markets and start trading away. You got to have a really clear understanding of where you're at. You got to look within and see, how's my headspace? Am I overly tired? Am I wide awake and enthusiastic and ready to trade? Am I willing to follow the rules? A lot of times, especially if you're new at trading, the markets are so erratic, God, especially lately, that all that price flipping around and high-speed movement and whipsaw drives you a little bit batty, and your mind can get affected by this. So you have to make sure you're nice and focused and ready to trade. You should be familiar with the rules of Ultra Boomerang, and you should be familiar with how the general markets function in relation to that. I'm going to go over some really good details for that. So the way you start it, the first thing I'd like you to do is just kind of loosen up and get warmed up, and this before the market opens, and go ahead and go over to Bloomberg News. I mean, you have CNBC. I have them up here in my tray, CNBC and Yahoo, but just ignore the general news like Yahoo, even CNBC. I mean, CNBC is good, but there's a lot of hype on there. There's a lot of sycophants on there who are trying to push the market a certain way. Bloomberg tends to be a little more less bias and hyper, and also I like their format is very condensed. They give the basic main headlines of what's going on, and then the top news right here. They don't put all these, you look at CNBC, and in the first 10 or so stories you'll have, one guy says market's bearish and the world's coming to an end, and the other guy says I see bullish opportunities here. It'll drive you nuts trying to read all these different opinions. So this is why I favor Bloomberg as a general quick read. You don't have to read the reports. Just glance over everything and get a feel for what are the top stories that have come out. Keep in mind also that a lot of the news media is just a bunch of BS, and stories are made up and according to political gains and so many things. That's a whole other subject, but I think those of you who are in the know understand what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying. but use Bloomberg. I think you'll find it to be very valuable. Also, once you're done with that, and you just kind of scan the news, get a general feel what's going on, go over and take a look at the Econoday. That's the headline, or the website is mom.econoday.com. I've been using this for many, many years. And what this does is that website address will give you a general view of the government reports that are coming out for the day and what to expect. These government reports tend to make the headlines. They'll be used as reasons, although they may not necessarily apply, but they'll be always used as reasons for the headlines on Bloomberg and CNBC as to why the market went where it did. Like today, for example, the market was pulling back. They blamed the retail sales, which comes out in pre-market. Now, on these reports, you don't have to become an expert on the reports and the statistics and all that, but just a general, it's a news combination morning news thing to get yourself in focus on what is going on in your world. Your world, my world, is the daily U.S. stock indexes, and you want to know what the retail sales are doing, what the key reports are doing. The key reports are dark starred reports here, and the hollow stars are more the minor reports that'll still push the markets around. Today we had the FOMC's beige book release at 2 o'clock. We had the red star was retail sales. Tomorrow will be a very active day. You've got the jobless claims, PPI, and you've got the Philly Fed report at the top of the hour at 10 o'clock. It's the same old routine. It's been going on for many years. These key reports come out on scheduled dates, but they do move the markets. So Friday, for example, is option expiration. A day often that I find is very good to avoid, like a lot of professional traders. They just don't even trade on option expiration day. But you can if you want. Boomerang works on every day as long as the market's active. You'll find Boomerang to be quite effective. And when it's slow, it'll tell you when not to trade. But you got the pre-market. Most of these are pre-market consumer price indexes, and they're all listed. So go over to Econoday and Bloomberg, and you'll find yourself getting a real good initial view of what's going on. This is just like when you work at an office, and you come to the office, and you look around, and you talk to people. What are we doing today? Any news? What's our, company in the news, or is the boss giving any new instructions? You see what I'm saying? In other words, kind of a general view of what's going on around the office. What are we doing here? Anything special? Get all your news there. Just go to the Econoday site and go to Bloomberg. At least do those before you trade in pre-market. Now you got a general idea. Okay, here's what's talking about. And they say, here's why the market's going up. Here's why the market's going down. The market's going to gap down. If you have, you can bring up your Boomerang chart, for example, and you can look and see in pre-market. You set it for 24 hours, and you can see, wow, the market is on Globex. This is the Globex. See these times here? These are all the pre-market Globex. You go, wow, the market's getting hammered here on Globex, so we better watch out. Let's see what's going on here. So then the next thing I want you to do, and this is very important, probably the best pivots of the day, where did mine go? There they are, is what I want you to do is mark the first 5 minutes of the opening range. You will find that these pivots end up being very, very important. Now, the way I do it is so simple, and the accuracy is just very effective, and that is you just take your cursor over here, and you go over to, this is a West Coast chart, don't mind, it's 6:30, it says 6:30 down here. It's really 9:30 Eastern Standard Time or 8:30 Mountain Time. Find the 6:30, the first ticks of the market right after the opening at 6:30, which is the opening time, and then mark the low of the first 5 minutes, which is the low right here, and mark the high of the first 5 minutes. That's the low. And then just that first 5 minutes of trading go by. I highly recommend you wait for the first 15 minutes before trading at all. Just let that market wiggle around and figure out what it wants to do. So you can see here, here's the first 5 minutes. So the high was right here. So we just grabbed that line. It's just a standard ninja horizontal line, which is up here on this pencil. You go up here and you click down here and you click on horizontal line and you add that on there. I use this kind of corn silk whitish colored line, very easy to see on the black chart. Well, now look what you've got here. You've got your opening range here, and you've got all your news figured out. You know why the market's going where it is, if it's gapping up or down or opening flat. You've got the news, and you've got the government reports that have come out and that will come out at the top of the hour. Usually most of them are out by the top of the hour, means 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Sometimes they have a petroleum report at 10:30. You can keep an eye on that. That might push the market around a little, but you don't base your boomerang trades on that, but you just want to know what's going on as you come into the office every day. It's common sense. Many of you know this, but for new traders, they're wondering how to start their trading, and I'm going to show you how to do that today. So now you've got the opening range going here. You've got your boomerang chart up, and you start observing the markets. Now, while you're observing the first 5 minutes, you can watch for what? You can watch for exhaustion moves. For example, on our market force indicators, we mark the 18-period level, and you can see it down here as well. With these marks here, you can see that the market force this is bias index number 2, will tend to run up and hit a peak and stall. It doesn't mean the market's going to pull back necessarily from there, but it's a very, and I'll get into this in a little bit, be a fast-moving webinar today here as we get going. I'm going to show you how to read divergence to set up and watch for really good trades. Now, especially now with the way the market's acting, we have to be very astute to understand how to be ready for the market to set up our boomerang trades and how to look for possibly stronger moves. Not that we're going to do anything other than just try to catch our 3 points, but you want to be aware of what the market's doing, that's all. And then taking the trades within the context of that morning knowledge you gain from checking out the news, the government reports, and the early readings on the market force. Now, for those of you interested, I've added a line here at 5 points. We have our 3-point line, and that's all you really need, but I've added a 5-point recently here and here with a little dashed white line. I'll show you in a while why that's vital, but you can see that as they're crossing over the 3-point level, a lot of times if they're jumping over the 5-point level, that's a stronger move, and it'll help you read divergence a little bit as well. So you're moving along, and now the market's opened here, and you're watching the opening range. Now notice how the prices try to get over the opening range here, but they're struggling and they're dipping back within the opening range level here. It's just a little bit of information you're gathering for the first 15 minutes while you're trading. Now you see them press back over the opening range, and we've got a flat dynamic trend band number 2, which is blinking colors. It looks like a cobra with different colors here, and that's exciting because we have our cobra indicator here, but that's what the DTB looks like at this point, number 2. And we're just watching to see what happens. Now notice once again, they, let me fix this here. They're pressing over the top of the opening range and then dipping back under it. That means the market is getting bearish challenges to the prices here. And again, you're just into that first 15 minutes now, and you're watching here, and you've seen that they've pushed higher. They've hit the peak area here on bias index number 2. Number 1 never got up to that 3-point level, which is fine, but it still tells you that you can watch for a new trade if, in this case, the rule would be because we did not cross over the 3-point level here, we're just going to watch for a new trade channel to open up and a pullback to the signal line with the dynamic trend bands matching, and ideally, of course, if those two match, you're going to see the cobra matching as well. And this is today's action, by the way. I'm just using today's chart. Don't need to go back 10 days or anything just yet. I will in a while. And you trade that pullback signal line, and boom, down they go for a quick 3-point move. Take a minute, take a deep breath. I do it every day in front of a lot of live traders, and it's always, I've been doing this 25 years, but it's always a very risky business to be in, and high speed, and it'll take your breath away sometimes. So make sure and breathe deep, catch your breath, and then wait for the next trade, which turned into what? This is very characteristic of today, a huge, gigantic, you can see it right here maybe, it's a hollow candle here, a huge whipsaw candle. You got your 3 points here from this entry at 36.25. They came down here to 33.25. You're out, and they slammed to the downside, and then a huge whipsaw candle came in here at 28.25 and ran up to 34.25. 6-point whipsaw candle followed by 2 more to the upside. The very first message that should come to you when you see that is relax, stand aside, don't have your mind getting all busy thinking, where's my next trade, where's it? Just relax and forget about it. The minute the whipsaw starts coming in, just let it flow. Don't even worry about it. Just the first thing you should think is stop trading, relax, and let's see what happens. Just observe your indicators and everything. Notice now, gee, what a coincidence. Look how prices are hovering around the top of the opening range. A little philosophy about the opening range. Traders on the floor and everything have always known this, that the opening range tells you what? If prices are pushing above the opening range, that's bullish. If they're pushing below it, that's pretty bearish. The market is rejecting where the market opened in the first 5 minutes. So traders are going to try to work that side of the market. If there's a bullish agenda to get that price up, this is the kind of stuff that's going to happen. They drop off heading back towards the bottom of the opening range. They're going to try to come in there and rescue them and take that price right back up again, which is what happened here. So now here they are arm wrestling in a whipsaw mode around the top of the opening range level. Don't worry about it. Just leave it alone. Now, theoretically, according to the rules, yes, all the dynamic trend bands are matching here. There a new sell channel opens and a pullback, the signal line occurs. That certainly is a bearish trade on Boomerang at 34.25, which did run down to 29.5. There was a 3-point trade there. But when you see this whipsaw occurring, I am merely advising you maybe to just let that trade go and see what happens. See what I mean? Don't be too anxious right away to catch it. You got all day to trade. There'll be plenty of opportunity. There's an average of anywhere from 5 up to sometimes 15 authorized Boomerang trades to take. So don't worry. If you catch 3 or 4 of those a day, you'll be very happy. You'll be doing very well. 3 or 4 of those a day with 2 to 4 contracts, you'll make a very nice living. So the key is to watch the fundamentals. So here we are trying to press over the top of the opening range. Here they go again, pushing over the top of the opening range, with the market after this move down, flipping back to the upside and doing what? All kinds of whipsaw here. Look at that action. More whipsaw. Whipsaw I define as our 450 tick default standard size candles. 450 tick. I've tested it for many, many years. It's not that I choose that over Renkos or over range bars, over 1-minute charts. It's not really a choice. It was called a choice based on extensive, many years of research and live trading. I didn't want to use 450 ticks initially. I resisted it, but all the evidence kept coming back to that being the best, so that's our Boomerang default. Try to work with the default system first before trying to go in and cleverly altering things. You'll find that my system works very well, and I just want you to make money. Look at this candle here, 39.5 coming down to 33. 39.5 down to 33.75. 5-point whipsaw candle to the downside, a counter bounce back up, and another whipsaw down. This was today. Today was nuts. The whipsaw was nuts. I was just being so careful today when I was trading. We had what do we got here? We had 4 winners in a row today, and I stopped early because of a report that was coming out later, and it was because we also have goals in our room of certain levels we achieve, and then I tend to just kind of back off a little. But I'm saying I was being very, very careful today. Now, here's everything matching, right? Well, don't try to catch this. We just flip to the downside. You got whipsaw to the upside. Don't worry about coming in here. Now, obviously, this boomerang trade still worked out very well. When the new channel opened, everything turned green here. One of the rules, too, to remember is when you have a flattish market, it's one of the rules to not trade that. But if you see an uptrending move and you see that dynamic trend band number 2 hang on to that blue cyan color, it's going to tend to lean that way. And when you get a signal on the Cobra for a long-sided trade, and then what to speak of matching crossover on the dynamic trend band number 1, that's usually going to pan out. That trade's going to pan out. But you had to suffer some whipsaw here. 37 came down to 32. And this trade here would have got stopped out. And that's why I'm telling you, when you see the whipsaw, just be willing to stand aside and let it subside a little. Be sure you have a volume meter running. This is on our blog under resources. I'll just show you real quick what that looks like. This is what a volume meter looks like. Keep a volume meter running so you know how many contracts are trading on an average. Go to my blog there at boomerangtrader.com and look under resources, scroll down and look for how to build a volume meter. No matter whether you decide to purchase Boomerang Day Trader, you already have it. Whatever you do, make sure you're running a volume meter while you're trading. You got to know where the volume is so you can adjust your trades accordingly. So this was a classic example of a whipsaw market that ended up whipsawing even higher and then came crashing back down. The whole time you're relaxed and just saying, I don't mind, I can stand aside. Yeah, they got a little exhausted up here, but everything's on the upside, holding above the opening range, by the way, notice that, and they're trying to push the market higher. Well, as the prices climbed and they started stretching over the 3-point level, moving in on the 5-point line up here, you start seeing them getting a little bit exhausted up there and starting to turn around. You see the yellow color coming in here on the bias index number 2, telling you that the shifting towards the downside is coming in. This is your early warning sign. Now you notice the dynamic trend band number 2 is not that steep. It's a little more flat. So we only have 2 ways that we trade, and that is matching dynamic trend bands, taking a trade in a new sell or buy channel where they're matching, and a pullback signal line. The simplest thing in the world. It's so simple. Or when we see the prices get exhausted with the wicks of bias index number 2 trading over the 3-point magenta line or under it, watching for reversal as long as the dynamic trend band number 2 is relatively flat, not super steep. Now, one way to determine that is to take your cursor and put it right up there on the dynamic trend band number 2. Right there. You see where I am, where I'm shaking that there? When you do that, I jokingly call it a pizza slice. Notice this going up and this going to the side. It looks like a slice of pizza. Well, it's just a metaphor to have a little fun in trading, but you'll remember it if you put your cursor up there. That's all you need. You don't need to worry about anything else. And then you'll see if I put it up here, notice how the pizza slice has shrunk. See that when I put it right here? And if I put it right here, there's virtually just a sliver of a pizza slice right here. And if I put it right here, the pizza slice has completely disappeared. That's called a flat dynamic trend band. A steep dynamic trend band is what you see down here. Notice the pizza slice there is gigantic. So you don't trade, it's one of the rules, don't trade against a steep dynamic trend band. I just happen to have a copy of the rules here, and I forgot to mention that also. When you're getting your day started, you go to that, check the government reports real quick, check out the Bloomberg News real quick, and just make sure you know what's going on. You know, there wasn't any severe news that's going to cause some kind of problem. And then also bring up your rules. Now, with the rules, by the way, on the PDF that's attached to your Boomerang email I sent you when you purchase Boomerang, I send you a email that has the download and it has a template where you can immediately have an exact template like you see mine, and it also has a PDF showing the rules. You can go to the PDF up here, and you can push the plus or the minus, and you can make it smaller or larger. I've shrunk it down here so I can just show you exactly. It has charts and colored charts here to show you exactly what to do, but I just want to show you here, coming down to the rules. They're so simple, the key rules for Boomerang, and you want to have these handy on one of your other screens, or at least ready. You can always take them and move them down here and be ready to bring them up if you don't have them memorized. But they're so simple, you can memorize them very quickly. And the rules are, do not trade against a steep dynamic trend band number 2. If we're going to take a trade opposite a steep dynamic trend band, then we just merely need to see the Cobra crossover dynamic trend band on that side. And in the cases where the market is extremely bullish or bearish, and there's a very steep dynamic trend band, it's often best to wait until the pizza slice gets very thin. In other words, watch for the dynamic trend band to either flatten out completely or very thin pizza slice up there using your cursor. Just make sure that that thing's flattening out. It's not really steep. This is just common sense. When the market is extremely one-sided, screaming higher, and you got the Dow up 210 points, and the 30 and 60-minute charts are very bullish, you know, you just don't want to trade against that. So in that case, all you're doing is kind of measuring this. You're watching. No colors have changed really on anything. Now the Cobra cross is here. Now, gee, what a coincidence. Right as the Cobra is crossing, according to the rules, and you put your cursor up there, you notice the pizza slice is shrunk a lot. It's very thin up here. Now the Cobra changes color and a new channel opens. The Cobra is a pre-warning indicator for the new trade channel to open. We only trade when there is a trade channel in that direction and on a pullback to the signal line, which is marked by these yellow dots in this case on the sell side and blue dots on the buy side. There are no other trades with Boomerang Day Trader, only on a new channel in that direction on a pullback to signal line. But our wonderful Cobra indicator here gives us an advance warning. In this case, on a steep up move, when we see it cross over the dynamic trend band number 2, that's your first warning. It changes colors. We got a new sell channel. You trade the pullback signal line, and down goes the market for our 3 points. Some people say, why don't you hold for more? There was more there. Well, you can hold for more if you want. Our simple method with the 90% guarantee is we trade for 3 points, and we do that over and over and over again. It's very pleasant because you get your 3 points generally fairly quickly. You're out of the market and the pressure's off. If you caught this first dot here, 53.75, you take them down very quickly to 50.75 even, and now you're out of the market rather than seeing them jump back up and all that. However, I'm going to tell you right now, one of the secrets is if you see the market run up and make a strong move where the wicks are going as high as tapping the 5-point level, in many cases, and especially when you see divergence occurring in the market, you can expect a stronger move on that trade. Instead of taking 3 points, consider taking 5 if you want to do that. If you're just arguing for the case of catching a big runner, well, you may not like to hear this, but that's just ego. You may say, no, it's not. It's trying to get the max amount on the trade. Yes, but I've already explained that Boomerang sets up 5 on a really slow day up to maybe 15 or more times a day. If you just go in there and scalp those easy trades, it'll be a lot easier on your mental system and your neurological system especially, and you'll have a nicer experience. However, I have already built in tools for those of you who want to catch runners. I catch them all the time. We had one the other day for 14 points in the live room. On that day, it's very active. We had 4 runners. One was 850, one was 950, one was 1450. We had a 7-point one. I do go for those when I see things set up that I like to see for catching those. And we call them out, and we track them, and my God, sometimes they're just easy to catch, and sometimes I've had times, very frustrating, where I'm rock solid committed to a 10-point move, and that market will go up and run 8 points. It'll go 8 1/4. It'll stall, drop back to where I would be at a 7-point gain, and drop like a stone back to my entry, and then you get out with a even or 1-point target, and it's extremely frustrating. So I'm very well aware of the desire and need to catch stronger moves. What I'd like to tell you, though, is what I've built into Ultra Boomerang, unlike any software in the industry. Again, not only are we the only one in the history of the trading markets, of the futures market, to offer a guaranteed 90% winners from the day trading software signals of Ultra Boomerang. That bar has been raised very high, but also what I've done is I built in the dynamic trend bands, which give you an extremely accurate reading on where the market's going to go next and possibly make a runner on the crossovers. No other system has any such thing. Trust me, I look at so many things all the time. It's a hobby because I like seeing it, but I like to see what other people are doing. Not because whether they're competition or not. I see some very good things out there, and I see some that are just really embarrassingly junk. But that's not the point. I don't have any commitment to seeing whether they're, I just like to see what's out there because I love trading. So let me show you this. It's another one of the key things that I want to watch, and this is what we're going to discuss right now, which is very, very important to your trading. You must realize that when the dynamic trend bands cross 80%, in some cases more, and I'm going to show you in a minute, you're going to get a surge in that direction. There may be a pre-surge in the market and a pullback either up to the Cobra or the dynamic trend band number 1, and in some cases all the way back to number 2. But when there is a crossover, generally you can expect a surge in that direction. So what I'd like you to do is go into, if you're a Boomerang owner, if you're not just watching, you learn something about NinjaTrader, go into your indicators, go down, and this is where all your tray is of all your indicators, the Ultra Boomerang. You see all mine here, and I've got some constant lines written on the bias index number 1 and 2, which I've talked to you about and showed you those. And this is in the template also that you get with Boomerang. All you do is take the template, click it, drag it over into your Ninja indicators, and it'll show up, and you can, in 5 seconds, set up the exact chart I'm showing you here with all these lines and everything. But I want to show you something. Go down to the Ultra Dynamic Trend Band. Ultra Dynamic Trend Bands, you click on that. Now that opens up this indicator here. Now up under alert, rather, you can have a sound alert on there. That's not a problem. That's a good thing. But what I'd like you to do is just consider, while you're trading, you can turn it off after you're done trading, but consider clicking true on launching the pop-up. You can see I have mine set for that because trading, obviously, we get very, very busy, and I absolutely don't want to miss a dynamic trend band crossover because they're so powerful. And I'm going to show you in a minute exactly what I mean. So when that crossover occurs right exactly here, I'm going to get a pop-up on my screen, and it's just going to be a little tap on the shoulder. Hey, Mohan, dynamic trend bands crossing. If you're long, for example, if I get that here and for some reason, I wouldn't be, but if for some reason I'm long here, I might want to, I might be long on some kind of exhaustion reversal type trade because I do have that other type of trade I do in my trading room. That's something I keep to myself. I don't teach traders how to use it. It's very high risk, but I have about a 90% success rate with those often. But the point is, if I see a dynamic trend band crossover and for any reason I'm against that trade, I'm going to do everything I can to get out. Say, for example, if I was for some reason long here on an exhaustion reversal trade and they bounce, I'm going to make sure and get out of that trade, you know. So consider a pop-up. Now, real quickly, we'll get back to this exact area. That was our fourth winning trade, by the way, for the day for today. I was showing you that, and that was being extra cautious. But I want to just scroll back and show you, here's the dynamic trend band crossovers and how valuable they are. So all I did was I clicked down here, and I scrunched the chart together because I want to go through this real quick. I want to make sure and finish up this webinar as quickly as I can here today, get everything, all the information to you so we can have a little Q&A time, and then we'll end the session. And just keep in mind, we'll have another one in 2 weeks. We'll go over all the recent sessions every 2 weeks. It's free. It's part of your trading career with Boomerang Day Trader. You're starting out at the top with my free training, 90% historical winning trades guaranteed. Boomerang Day Trader. What a way to start your career with a system that's going to hand you 90% guaranteed winning trades. It's ridiculous, I know. I stuck my neck out, made the guarantee, but it's actually higher than that, but it gets better. Look at the crossovers. Now here's a crossover that surged first, and this is today. This is an insane whipsaw day, but still, look at, sure, they crossed over there. Here they are crossing, matching colors, so you know to get short again. They cross over here, surge to the downside, a crossover here. Notice a crossover here. Yeah, there was a pullback, but once these dynamic trend bands crossed, a surge to the upside. And again, I'm taking one of the most volatile whipsaw periods that I've seen in the history of the markets, and I've been trading 25 years. Here's a crossover. The dynamic trend bands here, surge to the downside. Here's a crossover here. They already surged to the upside, so they're struggling a little, but you see that bias is still leading to the upside, even on a whipsaw pullback. But then once they cross over here, down they go again. Here's another crossover. Look at them racing to the upside. These crossover, here's a crossover here, downside move. Here's a crossover right here, ramp up to the upside. Here's a crossover here, down they go. You see what I'm saying? And again, these are not on, I mean, if I go back, just real quick, let's go back 10 days. We still had this heavy volatility going on 10 days ago, but I want to show you the crossover so you can put that pop-up in there. Just let yourself know that there's a crossover, and then you can learn to figure it out from that point. Crossover here, this right when they're opening. Crossover here, two like little failures of a crossover here. That's not a problem. It doesn't mean it's going to always happen, but look how reliable it is. Crossover here, surge to the down. Where do you have a system that tells you in advance when there's a crossover that you're going to get a surge in that direction? Very, very valuable tool. Here's a crossover right here, matching colors, down they go. Here's a crossover right here, a mini surge up, little failure here of the crossover, but look here, another crossover, down they go. Crossover here, up. Crossover here, strong downside move. Continuation as they match colors on the dynamic trend bands and hold all the way till prices start crossing over dynamic trend band number 2. Here's the crossover here. They surge to the upside, kind of a choppy whipsaw. This whipsaw stuff has been going on for the last 10 sessions. Crazy. Be careful. Crossover to the downside here, huge move down. Crossover here, up they go. I can go on, and I want you to do this. You Boomerang owners, do this on your free time at night. Get your chart up, and what you do is you go in here to the data series, go down to the data series. I've got it set for 10 days, set it for 30 days or whatever, and go over 30 charts. Get used to doing your research. Do research every night. Get better and better and better at trading with Boomerang Day Trader. It'll hand you 90% winning trades, but don't take that for granted. Make sure and research and practice every night. It's like a triathlete. Does he go to the gym once a week? Well, I'm going to enter this bicycle racing competition. I'll get out there and ride on Saturday. It's Monday, and I'm just going to take it easy and watch TV. Are you kidding me? Triathletes go in the gym 5-6 hours a day. You'd think they had enough, but that's their thing. Our thing is trading. Get in the gym. Get in the research. Get those charts up and be studying them like crazy using the information I'm telling you here. It's fun, and it's exciting, and it's easy. Here's a crossover here. Little crossover failure here. Prices match color again, down they go. Here's another crossover to the upside. Enough said here. Here's a crossover here. You can see 70-80% of these crossovers are giving you vital trades on the moves. Now again, very, very whipsaw period, but here's the bottom line. There's nothing wrong with the failure of a dynamic trend band crossover. If you see a crossover occur and it fails, like here, all you got to do is watch for the matching dynamic trend bands and match color again and take that next trade because it's going to surge in the other direction. In other words, if they fail, the direction in which they fail, the opposite trade, when those dynamic trend bands match color again, you're going to get a strong move in that direction. Here's a crossover, upside move. They're struggling up here. Stay ready. They cross over again. Kablamo to the downside. You see, I can go over 20 charts. I'm just showing you how to research now. Crossover. Once you do 30 charts, here's the reason, 30, 40, 50, 100 charts, your brain will become acclimatized and it'll start going crossovers, surge in that direction most of the time. And if they fail and don't, there's going to be a surge in that failure, opposite the failure direction. Do you see what I mean? Here's a mini surge. It surged to the downs. Right when the crossover was there and your alarm pop-up went up, they were at 4102 half, and they went all the way down to 94 half. Hello. It's an 8-point move. Here's a crossover here, and it just screaming to the upside. They tire out. The prices start trading under dynamic trend band number 2. There's a crossover there. So if you want to catch larger moves, I've built all the tools into Boomerang to do that. I'm not saying not to do that. I'm just showing you a very, very simple system where you can go in and pick off 3-point winners over and over and over. Yeah, you're going to miss some of these, but if you got a mind to catch them, you got the tools in front of you to do that. Okay, I wanted to make that point. Do the research. Every night, do it, and just make sure your brain gets very acclimated to the Boomerang system and how wonderful it is and how the research I've put into this can help you make a very exciting trading career. So, getting back to what I wanted to show you as far as that's the first thing, is as you're watching, here's another tool. As you're watching, this is a little bit late in the day today, so I don't like to use this as an example. Let's go in the middle of the day. Or let's go back to yesterday. What the heck? Yesterday was crazy too. These markets the last few days, pretty amazing. Okay, this is yesterday's trading here. Look at that, screaming high. Remember, this is brilliant. This is they got the Dow up 280 points, I think, at the peak, and then they close them down 30 after going down 180. That's how nuts this is here. But the point is, when you're looking for the market to reverse and give you another trade, keep an eye also on the dynamic trend bands, and don't try to get long or reverse against this until you see those dynamic trend bands kind of exhaust themselves here. Here's another example. I mean, if they're trending like this, the bands might be running a little bit tighter. You're not going to ever fade this, and there was no signals to fade it. But what I'm saying is let them spread out. Let me find one where they're all tight because it was just probably not a good day. Yesterday was a freak show. Up 270 and then down 140. That's 270 and 140. That's what, a 400-point range? 400 Dow point range? Yikes. Well, this is that process here now. I had identified ES 2002 as a key washout level, and that's exactly where they went to on that washout, and then they reversed again. Let me find another day. I'm trying to give you an example of how to read divergence and exhaustion. Let's find a fairly normal market. Good luck with this last few periods here. Okay, here's a good example of what I mean. And I'm not hand-picking examples. I'm just trying to train you how to use Boomerang. Here's the market coming up, and now you're getting, because you're hitting the red lines here, you're looking for a flat dynamic trend band number 2, and you're looking to go short with the dynamic new sell channel and the Cobra matching dynamic trend band number 1. That's the rule. It's very simple. Cobra dynamic trend band matching colors to go short in a new sell channel on a flatter dynamic trend band number 2. See here again, put that cursor up there. Look, you got a very thin little pizza slice, not a problem. And you can just look at it and just common sense. That is not a steep DTB. This is one is a little more steep, obviously. So you're going to take a matching Cobra, which is this line here, and a matching dynamic trend band number 1 on a new sell channel. When you see these matching up, you're going to sell at this pullback signal line, and it's generally when the prices are at dynamic trend band number 2 or below it in a case of a sell. There's your sell trade right there. And you got 39, and they go down to 35 pretty easily, so you're out right away with 3 points. And again, the crossover occurs here. If you have some idea that you want to hold longer, you can do that by using the Cobra as a trailing stop. And look how dynamic it is and how it shifts and moves with the price movements. You can use a Cobra as a trailing stop if you want to try to catch a larger scale move. Some of you are good at that, and that's wonderful. So go ahead and do that if you feel like it. But first, just get used to using the exact method that I teach. Just grab 3 points over and over and over. Here's what I tell traders who say, well, look at all that, you quote, left on the table. No. That's the ego talking that you left stuff on the table. Do you see what I mean? There's a slight bit of abuse in that language that your self-talk is, oh, you left so much on the table. That's an abusive kind of thing, and you don't want to abuse yourself in trading. The markets abuse you enough without doing it to yourself. Forget that you left a lot on the table. If you are so confident that you can determine that, why not just take my 3-point quick scalp, and instead of doing 2 contracts or 4, do 6. If you want more heat, you want more money, add contracts to the really quick 3-point moves. Get in and out with 10 contracts. Hey, that's going to be a $600 trade rather than holding 1 or 2 trying to catch them way down here. Do you see what I mean? That's just the ego game of not leaving anything on the table. It doesn't matter if the market continued to move. Do you see how that's ego? I try to explain that to people because they think, no, that's not true. You're just trying to get the maximum out of the trade. Well, you're trying to get the biggest run because you think that if you get the most out of it, you're smarter. And there's no need to be smart in trading because all the smart guys who ran million-dollar companies who took up trading and got cleaned out said, wow, trading's a unique trip. It's a unique thing. Anyway, the point is, I got to get right back into the training here. When you see the market pull down and you see the exhaustion levels coming in here on the market force, this is bias index number 2, we call it. It's a market force indicator. I designed it to show what kind of force is in the prices. Now look at this. Obviously we had the crossover, but you're watching for that crossover to spread out a little, get nice and wide and spread out. You're watching for prices to spread out. And you can see here the market force level 1 is here. As they thrust lower, notice how the force is lighter. That means divergence is starting to kick in. The move's not over necessarily yet. And then they move lower up here again. They create a yellow histogram up here telling you the move's getting close to getting exhausted, not necessarily done, because you can see they move lower here. But here's the key thing I want to show you. The prices move lower here with the histograms jumping over the yellow into the yellow category, kind of neutralizing a little. And look at this. As they jump lower, look how substantially lower the market force is from over here and even right here. Now you're getting some clear signs of divergence. Now you're not only getting it there, you're also getting it in the wicks of the histogram here. Notice how they're pushing lower here. Now notice this, prices surge back lower again, a lower move, but notice here on this last surge lower where the wicks are and where they are here. You see that? I should probably thicken these wicks up for the seminars, but anyway, on your chart you can see them. Now I just spread the chart out. Now all you do to spread your chart or tighten it is drag and click on the bottom here. You see that? Just click, hold your cursor down, drag it. For research and while you're live trading you do this sometimes. Notice here the wicks are down on this surge, prices are lower here, but the wicks are higher, and you have a clear divergence on the market force here. It doesn't change the method. It's just showing you how Boomerang can give you even extreme ways of reading the market with crystal clarity. See what I mean? The method is still to wait for the new trade channel here and everything, but I'm just showing you how it helps you read the markets while you're waiting for that. So here we go. You're seeing divergence and go, oh, this is going to be a nice move on the upside most likely because I'm getting this radical divergence here. So it's another hint at a possible stronger reversal move if you want to try to get 5 points instead of 3 points, or you decide they're probably going to ramp up higher, so I'll add a contract and I'll shoot for 5 points. You see what I mean? Something like that. Just mix it up and use the tools for reading the market that Boomerang offers to decide what to do with your position. Add a contract or two and perhaps go for 4 points instead of 3. Go for 5. Like that. I'm not saying it's wrong to try to maximize the amount of points you get. All I'm saying is you want to also try to maximize the safety and the agitation, because the markets can make your head spin so fast, and you want to make sure, and safety first is the rule. So now that you've determined, wow, there's some real divergence here, I'll bet this is going to be a stronger move on the other side. Well, now what happens? That's right, dynamic trend band number 2 flattens out. Put it up here and look at the pizza slice thinning out. You got the advance warning of the Cobra turning green and crossing over dynamic trend band number 2, which is the requirement for the trade. Watch for the next trade channel to open. Watch for the trade channel opening is part of watching the Cobra. So the Cobra crosses over a dynamic trend band number 2, warns you right here in advance of a new channel opening. On this jump here, the channel opens. Now you've got green histograms on the market force side giving you a green light. Pull back the signal line and up they go. Right as you catch that winning trade, the dynamic trend bands cross over. Your pop-up comes out. You said, oh boy, stronger move in motion. Now, had you decided here at 29.25 to take a larger scale move, well, you sure got that, because 29.25 ramped up to 37.25. Now, again, this is yesterday's market. This is whipsaw, high-speed, high-intensity markets. But now the DTBs cross over on the bullish side, and look at that. They just scream higher. So had you used the Cobra as a trailing stop, you could have watched them ramp up to the second level here. You could have used your market force reading up here as it ramped up to this exhaustion level to get out here at this level, perhaps because you saw that, or you say, I'm going to wait for a second level market force ramp up, and you see the wicks of the dynamic trend band number 1 crossing over the 500 level, with the market force ramping up higher and prices higher. But notice, ramping up higher, but a little bit less force up here. So you go, well, maybe this thing's starting to peter out a little bit. Finally, you decide maybe I'll wait till a second level tap on the purple line, and that occurs here and also up here. So if you want to try to stretch for maximum gains, just use the market force indicator, which is bias index number 2 down here. Watch these wicks, and now you're preparing for the next trade. Okay, so I wanted to make sure you're clear about that. Let me check my notes, make sure I'm getting everything. Carefully watching the DTB crossovers, watching for spreading out. Now again, yes, here, notice this. I want to make a point of it. let them spread out. Let them get spread out, and watch for the matching colors on the trend bands here. This steep dynamic, see how steep that is? It's indisputable how steep that is. There's not going to be any trade here. Forget it. That's too steep. Let them come over here. Let them cross over up here. Let the crossovers occur. Let the games begin. Let the crossovers occur. And there's a lot of whipsaw up here, but watch for that. And then you see as the yellow histograms start to come down here, the market force weakening. Even wait for that market force to shift before you trade. And then, of course, this is one of the rules here where they just jam so quickly to the downside. There was no boomerang trade there. But that was not the point. I just wanted to make a point of let those dynamic trend bands spread out. Keep an eye on these market force indicators here, exhausting and showing divergence, and you'll know what to do with your trades. Watch for that double exhaustion on the dynamic trend band number 1, and number 2, watch for sometimes 2 to 3 times if that market's really moving. So the next topic I want to talk about is whipsaw. Boy, did we have the example of whipsaw in the last few days. Rule number 1, do not trade against steep dynamic trend band. Do not take trades when the dynamic trend band is flat. When it goes flat, that's a lot of times where the whipsaw occurs. The whipsaw will occur frequently before that too. And we don't trade against fat channels. I'll get into that in a minute. But whipsaw, it doesn't even have to be a rule, because just the rule of boomerang is you avoid whipsaw by watching for 3-point spike candles, a succession of those. And obviously the dynamic trend band number 2, if it flattens out, but like you can see here, the whipsaw just started occurring anyway. Don't worry about it. If DTB number 2 is not flat, just look at the other ones. See right in here? Cobra and the DTB number 1, they're all multiple changing colors and flattened out here. The candles are green and red and spiking up and lower, but the real basic lesson is just watch for 3-point spike candles followed by 2 or 3 others, and then counter candles in the other direction. Look at this animal here. 52.75 spiked up to 58, like a 5-point zoom spike candle. That's why I love the 450 ticks. They allow me to read what the market's doing in terms of whipsaw and just stay aside. So when it starts whipsawing, you don't want to think, I got to figure this out. Where's the next boomerang trade? And start trying to trade at these different dots. That's not the method. Just wait. Just wait, and let it sort itself out. And maybe let a move get away and go for it. Let this, like this one here, the crossover, it occurred on the dynamic trend bands. Market took off to the downside. The whipsaw occurred. Here they are matching colors again. All 3 of the trend bands are matching color. Maybe you want to take that trade, but that's the rule, is when they're all in a whipsaw thing, just wait for the move either to end and reverse, or just at least wait until everything's matching, then take a trade on that side. In this case, down they go. Everything gets exhausted. They're going down and tapping the extreme levels. There's some divergence showing up here. Now, calmly come in and say, okay, here goes the Cobra crossing over a flattening dynamic trend band number 2, crystal clear. The Cobra is giving you the lead advance notice of the new sell buy channel. The dynamic trend band is number 1 is now matching the Cobra. Trade the pullback to the sig line, and you have a nice, easy 3-point trade. See what I mean? Here comes the whipsaw again. I know, I was there. I'm live trading every day. Here comes the whipsaw again. They ramp them up. You're fortunate because you got long on this pullback here, 47.5. They ran 50.5 before this all occurred, but if you got long here, maybe you didn't quite get it. Boy, they sure handed it to you in this candle, didn't they? Just screamed them up to 55 quarter and then crashing down. So what do you do when you see them scream higher like this with this kind of candle and then come crashing down again? what's the first thing that you should think? That's right. Stand aside, whipsaw. Forget it. Just leave it alone. You don't have to figure out what to do. It's Boomerang's telling you what to do. It's telling you to stand aside, relax, and forget it. Just let it whipsaw around until you get crystal clear clarity. You don't have it here because you have a blue dynamic trend band, a bullish dynamic trend band. You have the Cobra matching with the dynamic trend band number 1, but you have an upsloping blue dynamic trend band with whipsaw. The whipsaw alone is saying don't do anything. But then when you see the Cobra cross under here, a new sell channel open up, and all the trend bands are matching, there's your pullback, take the trade, and boy, right away, once again, you're handed with a nice slam to the downside. My record on trades, by the way, and it was recently, it was 15 seconds for last, about 30 days or so, and that record got broken, that record got broken twice. I've been on the room all day trading too, so this webinar is just some more voice for me. 8 seconds, and then the record was beat 2 days ago, 7 seconds. This one here where I got in a trade, and it filled the order. Enter and then exit. 7 seconds is my record. It's because of these high-speed markets. But man, you talk about instant gratification. You got 4 to 8 contracts on. You put that trade on, and 7 seconds later, you got $500 in your pocket. That's pretty nice. It's exciting. Now they can go the other way too, but if you follow the rules of Boomerang, you're going to get those a lot, especially in this current environment. Well, so now what? Whipsaw candle downside. What do you do? Especially when you see this one come from down here and come screaming back higher, all it's telling you, Boomerang saying, stand aside, turn your mind off, don't try to figure it out, just leave it alone. And sure enough, another whipsaw candle, and here they come in here, whipsawing again. Just remember, don't worry about it. Now, keep in mind, Boomerang is the first and only day trading software in the history of the stock market to offer 90% guaranteed winning trades, and it's only $11.95. I have not raised the price since Boomerang's been one of the top sellers on NinjaTrader for over 5 years in a row, and I've never raised the price. Even adding it was about a month ago that I added this guarantee of 90% winning trades after I reconfigured everything and developed Ultra Boomerang after 1 year of research. I don't take a week and come up with some. I spend a lot of time live trading and really actualizing the changes. I put them into the code, changed it to Ultra Boomerang, and now we offer a 90% guaranteed winning trades, and I haven't even raised the price. It's $11.95. Just go to boomerangtrader.com, and you can make the purchase right there. It's very easy. I'll put that link on there. You should know it. Boomerangtrader.com. At the boomerangtrader.com site, that's our default place to go for all of these things, including this webinar, which I'll record and put up on the blog site. It's a blog site. I'll put that up in a day or so. Just got to see if I can get this all recorded. So let me finish up real quick so I can end this part of the seminar, and I can get this recorded, get it on the blog, and we can move on to some question and answers. So avoiding whipsaw is really as simple as just watching for those 3-point candles or more, standing aside, and the general rule is waiting for the clarity of all the 3 of the trend bands to match. Ideally in the context of a crossover, and it has to be a channel, a buy or sell channel on that side of the cross. Here's a crossover, for example, here. Here's a new buy channel. Here's a dynamic trend bands crossing over. Here's a pullback to the signal line, and up they go. It's over and over the same thing. This PDF comes in here with the rules. There's only 2 methods for trading and 3 rules. It comes with chart examples and everything you need, and you're going to have this ongoing bi-weekly free trading. Plus, you can email me anytime at mohan@daytradersaction. And you can, I'll put that on here too, mohan@daytradersaction. And you can go ahead and email me anytime with questions that you have. I work day and night, round the clock. Been doing it for 14 years. I like it. It's fun. I get plenty of rest and everything. I'm a real health fanatic, so not a problem. My voice gives out a little once in a while, but gets it right back on. I just take a little swig of my wonderful Chinese throat syrup here, my Ninjon Pie Picoa. It's wonderful stuff, real energizing too, made with a lot of mints and honey and loquat syrup. I use it to keep my voice going and my brain nice and fired up. I don't drink coffee or tea, a little bit after the market sometime, but you know, you don't, these markets are going to hype you out enough. The last thing you want is something in your body that's going to hype you up more. It's not going to produce winning trades. Following Boomerang is going to produce winning trades. So 2 rules, 2 setups, which I've already showed you. 3 simple rules in relation to those setups. That's all you got to know. You can keep this PDF on your desk until you memorize it. If you want to buy Boomerang or are highly interested and you'd like to see this PDF and a copy of the rules so you can go over these webinars and the charts that I showed you with the PDF, just email me at mohan@daytradersaction. I'll be glad to send you a copy of it as long as you're sincere and you're really thinking of buying Boomerang. Again, it's $11.95, and we recently introduced a payment program. So you can buy Boomerang right now for $3.95 down and 2 easy payments after that to complete the $12.95 stretched over a 3-month period. Now, there's no refunds for Boomerang. There's no trial periods. And if you get on that payment program, you're going to be obligated to pay it, but that's not a big deal. You're going to make so much money the first month of trading, you might want to go ahead and just cancel the payment program and send me the balance. But that's up to you. Doesn't matter. All I want you to do is become a winning trader. The money will take care of itself if you become a winning trader and start your career with me here at Boomerang Day Trader. You're going to love it. These markets are fun to trade. They're dynamic. They're whipsaw. You get stopped out sometimes, but no pain, no gain, right? I mean, 90% winning trades. Now, before I go, I'm going to show you one little thing that I was almost saying I didn't want to show traders because it's too good to be true. But I'll ask you Boomerang traders to do this in your research later. Now, you're not always going to catch the first dot, the first counter dot, like the yellow or blue dots. You know what I'm saying? These are the first dots when a new channel opens. A lot of times they're easy to catch after, you know, the channel's open, and they'll first appear on the signal line there. But I just want to show you something. If you just took the first dot and then the next one, the first dot of every Boomerang trade, look at this. Look at the winners. First dot here, down they go. First dot here, up they go. You with me? First dot here means the counter dot. First one that prints opposite of the last one. Down they go. First dot here, up they go. First dot here, down they go. You with me? First dot here, 3 points, all the way up. I mean, saying 3 points. They're giving more in most cases, but first dot here, 3-point stop, 5-point stop, 3-point gain. First dot, down they go. First dot here, hey, 34 quarter, ran 30, what was it here? 34 quarter? Okay, that one got a little flippy here. First yellow dot here, down they go. See what I'm saying? If you go back and research 20 charts, you'll be shocked to see how just taking the first dot produces a steady stream of winners every time. First dot here. Here's the first blue dot. Up they go. Here's the first yellow dot after the blue dot. Pretty amazing, huh? Here's the first blue dot here. 32.75. Ran 36. 3 points. First yellow dot. Down they go. First blue dot here failed. First yellow dot after the blue dot succeeded. First blue dot here ran 3 points. First yellow dot here ran 3 points. I'm telling you, Boomerang is pretty amazing. I put this together after hard research. I'm a 25-year trading veteran. I highly recommend you buy Boomerang and start trading. Even if you decide trading's not for you, big deal, $1,100, $1,200, it's peanuts in this business. You'll make a lot of money, have a good experience, and you'll like it. But get Boomerang on your charts and make money in the markets tomorrow. That's my advice. I think it's good advice. I'm going to back you up with free training, and I sure hope you'll join me on these webinars going forward as well.